Hello, sir. Purple looks good on you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I would just like. That's not.
No, I said it looks good on you.
My birthday skater.
Yeah, you can get, yeah, but if you were red or blue, they don't think you're just.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, I can live. What, red and blue does it? Yeah, you just, yeah.
I think
Sure. Well, it doesn't look like.
Yeah, you should have. You did good.
Yeah, normally
I'll see if that maybe has number three.
Just if it becomes directing the meeting.
I change it for the notes, but I like to see the other team too.
Yeah.
I think.
All right.
Boy, we ready?
The only equal to the Royals are the Dodgers as far as rapid fans. Oh, my God.
Ready to go?
Buddy, but Eddie,
Yeah, we got everybody but Eddie.
you doing a presentation? It's
Uh,
on the agenda.
I think that might be Katie Eddie. Katie Eddie.
Oh. I'm an idiot.
Too many Eddies. No, I get it.
No, I just.
Public comment.
Yeah, we'll jump into public first. Okay, everybody, we are gonna call this meeting to order. We're gonna jump right into public comments. So if you are associated with an agenda item, we'll reserve your comment to that agenda item, but we're gonna start with Dave. I apologize, Dave, I can't read your last name. On? Dave, I don't know.
Rugby.
Rugby, okay. Oh, never mind. We'll move on to rugby. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll get Miss Marjorie Fleming up.
Good afternoon, Marjorie Fleming,
Your address.
5240 North Oliver, apartment 303. Anything else? Okay. Thank you for hearing me. As many of you know, it's me and dog park mom. And so today I came to talk to you about the dog parks. One, I want to thank you guys for getting Rooster Park, Meridian Park started. We appreciate that. We did get to meet some of the guys that were working on it, and they kind of explained a little bit what's going on, but we would like to see some plans. So if there's any way to see what the plans is, because it's been a long time since we looked at it. I wasn't talking to you about the Humane Society, but I think who I need to talk about that. My other one is National Park, and you guys have been over there. I can't even say the name right, but you guys been over there and looked at the dog park. If you have a dog and you're walking it, if you don't want it walking on the seat, it is hot. And that's basically all it is. It's cement with a mountain in the middle with, yeah, so if there's a way that we can put some more aftercare or anything, because my dog just looked at that like, are you crazy? You know, so those are the main two things I came back with. And the other thing would be, if you could get a dog park over in the Maze area sometime in the future, that'd be greatly appreciated, because we have a lot of people who are coming from the Maze area to go to Meridian, and now they're driving all the way to the Humane Society. Okay, that's all I have is to the next one.
Do you have any comments on the plants at Rooster or anything like that?
So it's my understanding that we have those plans on our website
Okay.
because we list all of our projects, and with those projects is a description and whatnot. So we can help you find that. We might even try to get some more,
Bring it out to me or
some
something.
more information out so everybody can know what's going on. Because not everybody looks into our website. So we'll work with our communications team to get some more information out.
That just remind me, how close are you guys to starting on Country Acres?
Well, we've actually started now,
I haven't been over there yet.
but there's different phases and whatnot. Tim, can you help with that?
Yes, so we received good bids on that. We haven't had the pre-construction meeting yet. City council needs to formally accept their bid. But we do have them they're within our budget and we plan to move forward with them. And then they're working on logistics right now, so we kind of asked them to get going as soon as they can. So assuming city council approves, so.
Okay, that'll be
Yep.
something I can put in our, page. Thank you.
Okay. We've got two young men speaking with us today, Colton and Jackson with the Eagle projects. Presentation.
Presentation.
Good, thank you. If you guys just state your name, address, and the organization you're with.
I am Colton McClure. Address is 1815 West 55th Street South. And I'm with Troop 893 and trying to get my Eagle Scout project approved. So for my Eagle Scout project, I'm planning on trying to build a orienteering course. Now, the sport of orienteering is using a map and compass to find where you are wanting to go, and what distance you need to go there. So why I want to build a course is because Wichita doesn't actually have a orienteering course here. And orienteering is a growing sport for both adults and youth. The closest orienteering course that we actually have is in Lawrence, Kansas, about 3 hours away. And with over 4,000 scouts in the metro area and with over 4,000 scouts who are trying, if they want to do the orienteering merit badge, they have to do it 3 hours away in Lawrence or just write it down on a piece of paper that they did it. So I give the options to both the public and for scouts to actually be able to complete the orienteering merit badge. Now, I have 2 locations I can do this in, South Lakes and Honey Prairie. Both these locations have areas areas in the park that are not being used. And so I would like to give those areas some place to actually, those areas a thing that can be in them as what to attract more people to the parks. So I have South Lakes and Pawnee Prairie, both using up areas that are not being used. Now, proposed build out, I'm planning on at the start points, it's going to have a QR code that can take you to a website that can tell you if you want to do an easy, medium, hard course, it can tell you which order to go to the points in to give you that option. As well as it will have a 100-meter pace count, so you can dig your pace count before you do it, and a proofing course to learn how to do orienteering before you go out and do it yourself. It will be a 12-point orienteering course with a minimum of 2,000 meters of square feet. 2,000 meters that you have to cover to complete it. Now, this will benefit the community because as orienteering is a growing sport, my course can help anybody practice who may not get the chance to, which can attract even more people to your parks, as well as even people from traveling 3 hours away to Lawrence by giving them a closer option. Now, Wichita has about 4,000 Boy Scouts that will travel and spend money 3 hours away to complete their orienteering merit badge. So this can help attract them back to Wichita and give them the option to complete it without traveling 3 hours away. That's my Eagle project plan.
Thank you for sharing. Questions? So are you, Troy, what would this look like for the park? If they would do something like this?
So what we've typically done, we've had a lot of Eagle projects come through our parks. What we typically ask is that they give us a proposal with all the details, any kind of resources they might need, and look at it and see if that's something that's feasible, and we support them.
Is there a cost associated with this?
Not as of right now. I do not have a cost yet.
As part of their Eagle project to raise their funds and to resource it. So it's a leadership challenge for him.
Sure.
It's not just go around and put poles in the ground.
Sure.
So ask all the questions you want, because really what he needs now, or both of these need now, is yes, to continue down this path, or no, don't continue down this path. And then part of their leadership is they have to find all the answers to all those questions and how challenging it is to be a project manager.
Is it, you have a preferred location of the two parks that you identified?
Personally, not really. I am fine doing it in either, whichever one you guys would approve, I am fine with. Those were just the two options that I figured would be the best for the orientation force.
You have a bill of material list?
What?
You have a bill of material list? Like what are you gonna need to
No, not yet. I'm just trying to get this approved before.
concept?
that. Yes, get the concept approved, so that way I can then knowing that it is already approved and actually get all that stuff.
Troy, if they provided the resources and the fundraising is something we'd be,
Usually what happens is I get a proposal.
yeah,
This is a little bit different because we're going backwards on this. This is pretty much the first time I've heard about this project, not that, other than the quick email that I
Sure.
received. So typically I get a proposal or written proposal that says, here's what we would like to do. And I get with my staff to say if it's feasible.
Yeah.
If it's something that we want to have within those parks. Then we get feedback and we kind of talk it through. And yes, Eagle Scouts are responsible for all of the costs and all the logistics. And then if it's something that's feasible, then we pretty much just go ahead and go forward with it and support it. If it's not, we give some other ideas or details.
Sure.
But again, it was a great PowerPoint. It was very informative. But usually I get it written.
Make it
That
happen.
asks, that says, this is,
That's
can
the
we
next
do this, or
step.
what we'd like to do? And so if I was to get that, then I could move forward with
Sure.
different options.
With either of those parks,
Yes.
would either one of them present, like, I guess, if they explored going down either of those paths, is there one that would be more, I guess, would work better for the park department?
Both of them are good. Again, I'd want to get more details from their proposal, their written proposal, so I could kind of go through and look at some of the other things, which would include what kind of materials, what's the distance, just a little bit more detail.
What kind of materials would there be involved?
4x4s, 2x4s?
Pretty minimal, I mean. So
Mostly cement.
Okay.
Mostly Cement, just cement.
Okay.
Yeah, some.
Printing of the signs,
Okay, all right. So I'm not,
making sure they're weather.
Making a website of this. Just.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
his last day was, no, his last day was Friday.
Okay. Okay.
I was at Pawnee Prairie on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'll update the list before.
There's great
But
trails
yeah,
there.
he worked last week and then
Lost because there's so many
I don't know
trails.
where he went, but he was,
Follow
Doug
the-
Meyer's last day was last Friday as well, over. at
Would you
Forest
guys
Creek.
do any trail maintenance? I know there's a number of places where there's roots in the
Yeah.
way. a lot
I
of
know.
mud, Things like that, which
Been
if you
crazy.
chose that one.
No, they're gonna show.
She's reaching out to him right now.
Oh, okay.
Can be used as a challenge to have them figuring out where they need to go and what's the easiest path to get there. So that could be seen as a challenge for the people actually conducting the
So
course.
you don't need us to carve out a trail or anything like that? Okay, cool.
But I was thinking more about trail maintenance because it is a challenge sometimes because of mud holes or roots or branches that fall down.
If there's anything really significant, we can do some trail maintenance to make it more manageable for the people who would be doing the course. So if there's a giant hole in the ground, it may cause some people to get lost or hurt themselves, then I would probably fill it in as to make it easier for them and not to have them get hurt while doing the course.
Pawnee Prairie also has horse trails out there and but there's no bicycles that restrict the bicycle.
Well, certain areas it's restricted.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah, you're right.
it's not available throughout. And then over at South Lakes, the adjacent school just created a,
You just share that.
sorry?
You share that, or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they just created a walking trail with signage identifying a lot of different nature items. Maybe that's in cooperation with that as well, so.
So it sounds like next step for Colton and Jackson, or Jackson, were you speaking as well too?
Yeah, I have my
Yes,
separate.
different.
Okay, so Colton, we'll have, the next steps then would be to get a written proposal to Troy. And then we'll move on from there.
All right.
Thank you.
You have a template for them to use or just?
Good.
Very impressive presentation.
Thank you. Good job.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackson Jones, student address 901 West Hazel Avenue. I'm a current student at Campus High School, and it was brought to my attention that a teacher at Campus High School created a trail behind the school that was about a mile long, went around a lake, and it was used to help teach students more about the nature around the school. And it was also made for the public. Anybody from the community could come and see the trail, but only an hour after opening the trail, it was vandalized, signs were taken out, and there was about, I think, 12 posts removed from the ground, from the trail, and several signs removed that were around the trail. And my Eagle project is focused on raising the funding to put those posts back in, as well as digging out the holes and cementing those posts solid into the ground to make sure that they can't be vandalized again. And then also cleaning up the trail, putting wood chips into the trail to make sure that any muddy spots that are already there don't affect who can use the trail as much. But other than that, if I have my phone real quick, I could give a guesstimate about how much it would cost. But I think it's around $600 in total. That's for all the signs, all the posts, and the wood chips as well to put into it. And of course, all the Boy Scouts would come out, and I would lead them at Community Service Day of cleaning up the trail, putting any limbs that are in the way. The trail is already marked, as I said before. This teacher had already marked the trail, created it, made it pretty nice, but I'm just there to finish it up, make sure it's absolutely useful by everyone, and that make sure there's no muddy spots to slip. As the day that I went out to the trail, after it had rained, there'd be no way that some people could get around some spots there. That's pretty much it.
Troy, what's that look like for us?
Yeah, very similar to what the teacher did. We actually created an MOU with them to be able to use our property. And this would just be a supporting aspect of that. So written proposals telling me what's going on.
Sorry that it just,
No, you're good.
just BSA follow or what 3-4 is just to get a proposal and a yes before they start their work.
So this will be something feasible that you could. Well, Jackson, we got next steps for you. If you can get a written proposal to Troy and the team, we'll gladly accept your guys' help.
Sounds good.
All right. Everybody else for public comment, we will invite them to speak after their agenda item is presented.
I think we wanted to change that.
Okay, did. Okay,
Then goes Evergreen.
yeah, that's within power.
Okay.
Elizabeth Bishop. Would you like to come and speak?
Okay, let me know if you can't hear me.
We got you.
My name's Elizabeth Bishop, 8518 East Long Lake Street. And I am here on behalf of myself and ICT Trees. I actually want to address the upcoming master plan. And I'd like to talk about the definition of amenity. I know that there is discussion of what kind of amenities need to be in a park to be a quality park. I believe that the term needs to apply to the park itself, which is an amenity for a neighborhood. I don't believe, and I would like for us to consider the concept that a park does not have to be highly programmed with playgrounds and equipment and so forth, that it has a true value stripped down to the lawns and the trees, and maybe a water fountain would be good, and places to sit. And it's a green space. It produces helpful oxygen. It takes on pollution. It filters runoff water to the storm drains. It has so much value in and of itself as a green space. Where I live, southeast Cedar Lakes Village, I frequently drive Woodlawn coming into town. And I always look over at the park. And there frequently is absolutely no one in the park. Now that'll change once the weather gets cool and some of those football teams start practicing, middle school football teams start practicing. But it is still a green space with homes, apartment dwellings, and so forth around it. And it has that value in and of itself as a green space. And we need more of them, not less. Speaking as someone who worked very hard on the inception of Millwood Park. And I just want to consider that the amenity for the neighborhood is as important as anything else. And the other one real quick I will say is I know when we get to the master plan, there will be a community engagement process. And I would like to see that be as collaborative as possible, including people from the business sector, the sustainability movement, the neighborhoods, Wichita neighborhoods, for instance, that comes together in the process of gathering the community engagement plan so that they have some buy-in. And I think that we would get better engagement, better participation that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? We'll get to the master plan here at the next upcoming new items for consideration. With that, do we have a motion to approve the April and July board minutes? Motion. Got a second?
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, same sign? Okay. Motion is approved, or minutes are approved. For new items for consideration, I want to invite Christina Long, the founder, CEO of Create Campaign, to share about a project called the a la carte commercial kitchen.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christina Long. I'm the president and CEO of Create Campaign Incorporated, representing the address 2333 East 21st Street North. Create Campaign exists to help activate urban entrepreneurs in the Midwest to launch, innovate, and grow. We have workshops, trainings. We partner to lend and provide business capital solutions to entrepreneurs who may not otherwise be able to qualify. We have coaching, we have networking, and just a really good connected community. Our approach to business development is really about being a bridge. We're a bridge to entrepreneurship support organizations and other organizations that are looking at serving more greatly diverse entrepreneurs. And for diverse entrepreneurs, we help them to plug in, we help them to engage. Our whole work and our whole method is really to create sustainable solutions economically that can help create, again, a more accessible ecosystem and regional economy. And when it comes to who we serve, we have the privilege of serving a number of entrepreneurs, various backgrounds, serving different industries, but we picked up. We've got a lot of food entrepreneurs in Wichita. Wichita is a foodie city. And so with that being said, we wanted to create a solution that can really help people get access to commercial kitchen space while also receiving entrepreneurship education that can help them build strong food brands. Enter the City of Wichita's Park and Rec Department. We have been able to enjoy a collaborative process with the city after receiving the RFP award for Boston Recreation Center. So for many of you all who may not know, Boston actually has a wonderful commercial kitchen facility that was previously used by culinary arts program at Butler Community College as well as WSU Tech. When WSU moved its facilities downtown to Niche, that left an opportunity for space. An RFP was led, we wrote towards it, and we have been working with the city in that space for the past year and a half. Now, the facility needed some upgrades, and we were able to work through those challenges. And now we are able to actually have enjoyed a launch. So we opened up and had a ribbon cutting just last Friday. And we were able to not only share what happens with strong partnership, but also put faces to it. So we had a limited pilot program because you can research and do all those things, but you need entrepreneurs to actually get in the space and use it. We had 2 wonderful entrepreneurs who are taking our programming to the maximum. In fact, not only have they both now been licensed by the Kansas Department of Agriculture, who has walked hand in hand with Create Campaign on this project as well. We want safe, clean, compliant spaces, but also they have plugged into the City of Wichita's opportunities as well. One of them was selected to cater for the Mayor's Youth Council luncheon. They're taking every opportunity that we're providing, and we're able to do this because of quality partnerships. The city has been great. The staff over at Boston Rec has become an extension as well with our team and helping to make sure the space is inviting and useful and effective. So we look forward to continuing to grow the number of entrepreneurs who have that food focus in order to help them not only have space, but the education, like I said, should grow strong, compliant brands that we're all proud to call homegrown. I'll stand for any questions.
Do you receive a grant to help pay for?
Thank you for that wonderful lead. So collaboration and partnership in order to do this. And so you all should know that some of the partners who helped us with this space include a matching grant from the Wichita Parks Foundation. They heard about our efforts, they understood and read through our plan and what we were trying to propose. We also came with resources and they chose to match us. So that was a very successful partnership, as well as an equipment donation, a large one from Cox. Cox had shut down several of their eating spaces for employees, so we were able to supplement the city equipment that was already on site to be able to bring even more upgraded equipment into that space as well. I did mention previously the Kansas Department of Agriculture, and that's really important for you all to hear in park spaces. The Kansas Department of Agriculture said we chose a little hard. And they said that because our space is able to be licensed for food entrepreneurs who cater, for food entrepreneurs who want to do direct sales through farmers markets, as well as for food entrepreneurs who want to package low and high risk foods. Again, you all helped to make the space available. We worked together on that so we could go and really exceed expectations to bring the most value to this. One other key factor in this, we don't do these things just for our own mission, our own purpose, our own accord. We do it so it can be a model that can scale to others. So we've already got some attention from some of the other markets in Kansas that are looking at their municipal park spaces as well. Any other questions? Okay, So beyond raised awareness, thank you for your leadership and again, helping to make sure that our park spaces are able to be innovative as well in this economy, that they're able to be accessible. And for anyone who has questions more and want to know more about what Creative Campaign does, we do have a small little pamphlet that outlines who we are. And for the two entrepreneurs who have taken us up on our invitation to participate in our limited pilot, Sherry Yancey and Zoe, say thanks.
Tina. All right, next we've got Crystal Prairie Lake.
Tim Kettles, principal planner here for the city. Wanted to provide you all kind of a quick update on Crystal Prairie Lake Park. We had some recent meetings, one of them with KDOT and one of them with Cornejo, who is doing the mining out there on the lake in the park. For those that don't know, maybe aren't too familiar, Brooks Landfill is over there, as you can see on the map. The rest of the area, kind of where that the lake is, that is a sand pit. That's a mine sand pit. Individual mining agreement with Cornejo many years ago. They've been since mining the site. The main thing is that we get lake out of the deal because they're mining the site, taking the sand out, and then we are left with this beautiful lake that there's been a large master plan effort that's been going on for nearly 20 years, if not a little bit longer than that. So there is a master plan involved, and there is some detail on exactly what we're expecting. But again, as master plans get older, sometimes things change over time, and different priorities are to the community. So that's a little bit of history about the site. They are required to, after their mine, when it's out there, there's kind of tall edges on it because again, they're going down and mining stuff out. So then there's sometimes there's sharp, not sharp, but kind of steep edges. So as they're doing mining, there's a lot of earthwork in a rather large operation out there. But they are getting close to being finished on the site. One of the things that they need to do is restore the shoreline around the lake. And that's critical for us because we want to make sure that the shoreline is safe and it's how we want it to be and people can interact. There's better interaction out there between the lake and the land, which we plan to have training on. So that's one of the things that Cornejo is doing. They plan to be doing kind of the southern third. You can kind of see these row of trees here. Pretty much to the south of that, that's what they plan on doing right now is restoring the shoreline to help make it nice and easy. And that part of the agreement is for them to go through and make sure that it is a nice edge condition to the lake. So they plan to get done by the end of this year for that southern third, really. The northern part, they plan to get done with that by the end of 2025. So that's great. Once they get out, then that means that it's ours now. We can do, it's not going to be an active site for their machinery and equipment and things like that. So that's very good news. One of the things that's great about this site, and I guess I'm going to ask you guys to imagine with me, but if you take Hoover, which is the road right here, and you go south, eventually you will get onto a trail, and which is actually right here, the existing trail. If you keep following that, you'll end up at Sedgwick County Park, which is pretty neat because we are now connecting to the largest parks, one of the largest parks in our system, and pretty much the largest, well, not largest, but one of the most used parks in the county's system. So you can hop on a bike and you can go from one park to the other, which I think is really pretty neat. The biggest thing about this is that we have K96 right here. And so getting under that takes a little bit of time, coordination, and everything takes longer when you start involving KDOT. So our main plan for this, and we're utilizing some donation money, and we are also utilizing some CIP fund. Now, until the CIP is fully approved,
I don't want to start throwing out a number of exactly what we're gonna get, because who knows what's gonna happen in the next couple of days, or if they may change numbers, who knows what council decides. Right now, we have quite a bit of money allocated for this improvement, which would be an existing trail from, connecting from the existing trail all the way north along the west side of the park and try to get as far north as we can. Also have a parking lot in that area. Now, the biggest thing here is to, one, create that connection to these neighborhoods up to the north, because they are isolated right now from pedestrian access, walking access, everything like that, from getting down in a safe fashion. They have to run across Hoover, they have to go across these entrances, or the on-ramp and off-ramp. So the main thing here is trying to provide safe connectivity for our citizens, while also getting introduced into the park. I do think here we have some arrows. Again, we'll do a little bit more master plan, trying to figure out exactly what we need to do or what the right desire is for putting trails in. I think one of our goals is to try to get a loop around the whole park and the whole lake. Just kind of imagine what that looks like. It's pretty great. Once we're able to do that. So this is that first phase, just right now getting under K96 and starting to actually have a presence there in the park, knowing that tornadoes wrapping up their stuff. So happy to answer any questions, but wanted to provide you all kind of an update on where we are.
And you need, you need a vote from us? How do we?
I think we'd like an approval or just a support on kind of this initial direction. This is, I don't think that we're planning on doing anything super extensive with the parking lot or anything like that, plaza or anything, the main thing for us is actually getting into the site and actually getting a trail along Hoover, and actually providing access. So this is kind of that first initial stage. I don't think it really commits us into anything long-term, but it's something that gets the ball rolling while we have donation money to help get this thing rolling.
Didn't we vote to approve receiving the donation last year?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Is the donation in the bank, or is it waiting on other approval, or hasn't gone to city council yet?
Yes, we received the donation prior to the end of the year. We have that in the bank. So this is kind of moving forward so we can actually take this to council and have council approve this idea of actually adding some trails, starting the foundation of the trail system in the park.
How much was the donation?
It's over several years. If I do recall, it's 1 million. Yeah, 1 million over 5 years, and we received the first 200,000 already. So our idea is to match that and add to it. The basic foundation in regards to the trail system. Eventually, what we would like is, as Tim had mentioned, all the way around the perimeter of the park, having a whole trail, but that would probably be more than just $1 million, obviously. So just to get a foundation of starting the trail system here on Hoover will get us a foundation to move forward with.
And this vote, is it a vote of support then?
The vote to asking us to continue moving that direction, yes.
Do you have other questions?
Yeah, the one question is to, without additional spend, you've already got the money, you can.
Right.
Okay.
So the money to match this is in the proposed CIP, which will be put on by the end of this month. And all indications are telling us that that's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, then we don't do this. But if it does get voted on, then we will continue moving forward. So want Tim to keep moving with the momentum. These things take a long time. So that's why we're coming to you guys, so you guys be aware that we're working on this project and we want to continue moving with this with your support.
Whose district is this one? You want to make that motion?
Sure. Are we, any more questions about?
Yeah, the questions.
I have some wondering still about, the use on it and safety kind of issues. If there's a fence around it right now, there's no access at all. And if we develop the parking lot and the bike path, then people would start using it. There'd probably fish in there, maybe, probably.
Yes,
Fish wouldn't be there.
It does open up the property, and those are some of the things we have to consider in regards to additional uses. But, you know, if we don't move forward, then it slows everything down. So, yes, those are all things that we need to address.
If there's parking, there's probably needs bathrooms and other. A lot of it.
Yes.
But I would make a motion that we would move forward with this as it's been presented.
Second that. Other comments or questions about the project? All those in favor? Aye. Both same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Okay, Troy, don't get too far away. We've got master plan specs.
Not yet.
Then is there some fishermen that come in?
So Katie, Eddie has been working on this, and she was gonna do the presentation, but she is not feeling well today, so I am gonna cover for Katie. A little bit of background, we've been talking about the master plan for almost a year now. We had developed a subcommittee with several of the prior board members, and kept moving forward. We had shared the intent of a master plan to city manager and council. And I think they're very supportive of it. It's actually in the CIP right now as a proposal, $250,000. And I also asked the Park Foundation to provide $100,000. So we have a total of $350,000. We've also been meeting with several companies that do master plans. And we also got some input from them in regards to what would be some of the criteria and the specifications within the master plan. So we put some of those together. We put a draft idea of what some of those could be and should be. We met with another subcommittee of the park board recently, and several of you are in here that we talked about this. And here were some of the major ideas that came through with it. And project administration, I was going to run through the specifications and some of the ideas of the expectations. So project administration, public engagement would be a big part of it, research and data collection, review and inventory of existing resources, needs assessment and gap analysis, recommendations for future resources, strategic plan implementation, and development of a final plan. So a couple of things that's really missing within our current master plan. There's several items here. Development of a final plan with implementation. Our current master plan has some really interesting ideas in there in regards to taking care of what we have, which is still going to be a theme as we move forward because we have a lot of deferred maintenance that we want to address. But what's lacking is actual implementation plan, which we will need some help with and some ideas from the consultant. A little bit more of a needs assessment and gap analysis is part of that. So what do we need in our community and what are some of the gaps that we have? Recommendation for future resources. That could mean a lot of different things in regards to no resources. Are we happy with the status quo? Is there opportunities to make some changes? Where are some other places that we could get some more resources to address some of the needs that we have? And it's not necessarily always all expansion, but going back to a lot of the things in regards to taking care of what we have. Public engagement is a huge part of that. I can tell you what I want in my parks, but I just operate the parks on behalf of the citizens of Wichita. So we need to find out a little bit more about what Wichitans want in their parks. So let's go into a little bit more detail. Project administration. So guiding the process, working with staff, and presentations to the park board and city council. One more thought back as well. So when I was first doing some research in regards to master plan, the number that was kept coming up was probably about $500,000 to do a quality master plan. And obviously, I'm not gonna have that many resources. So we're gonna have to do some stuff internally. We're gonna have to do some project work internally and also work with some local stakeholders. I've already spoken to some folks over at WSU that might be able to help us out, especially with the community engagement. So there's gonna be a multi-faceted group of folks, teamwork to really address this. It's not gonna just be one consultant coming in, take care of all of this, and we definitely want some folks with local expertise. So public engagement, leading the public engagement, document engagement. This is where we have an opportunity to work with WSU and helping us with that and summarizing the findings that come through all the engagement. Research and data collection. There's a lot of different things that we need to go through here. A couple of weeks ago, I did share with you guys actually 3 different websites that have metrics and data in regards to how we rank with other cities. We've been sharing this information for a long time. Through the National Parks and Rec Association, there's a ranking system that shares a lot of metrics and data. Trust for Public Lands, that's another one. So we have some really good information as how we compare to other benchmarks across the country. So those are really important that we want this team to work on. Anticipated future trends and what could those be? It's always great to plan for the future instead of trying to catch up afterwards. One of the things that's really interesting is collecting usage of our parks and programs. Our programs, we have a lot of good data on it, but actually how do people go out and use our parks? That's really difficult because I don't have anybody out there with a clicker that's out there clicking away and seeing how many people use our playgrounds and those type of things. So that's really kind of another part of this project as well. Reviewing and the existing inventory and resources. And I think a big part of this is pretty intuitive in regards to what is our physical assets. Another part of this is also what is some of our other assets that we bring to the table. And you just saw a couple of really good examples of that. Actually, there's another couple of examples as well. But we partner with a lot of different folks on a lot of different levels. And you just heard about one of those partnerships, and you're going to hear about a few more as well. We probably have over 200 different agreements with different nonprofits, with different stakeholder groups. And that's how we really leverage all the things that we have in our park system to really have some great outcomes. Without the partnerships, we would not be able to do anything that we do right now. So I think it's a really important story to tell. A lot of people don't really understand all the things that we do. And I think that's going to be very prominent in this master plan, is to talk about those partnerships and we actually expand on those as well. We have, I often joke around a little bit. I've shared this with the city managers that I think we should change our name from Parks and Recreation to Partners with Parks and Recreation, because we do so many different partnerships. Again, talking a little bit more about the needs assessment and gap analysis. What are some of the weaknesses of our parks, and where are some areas that we can make some improvements in regards to some of those gaps? One of them that I can think of is dealing with ADA accessibility and other kind of accessibility as well. What is the proper fee structure that we should be looking at? Are we duplicating services within our own operations, working with cultural arts and library? They do some great programming. How can we collaborate with each other without duplicating services? But even more so, to me, there are a lot of folks that are out there doing services similar to what we're doing. And one of them is the YMCA. I just use that as an example. A great organization, a great resource here in Wichita. How can we make sure that we are collaborating with them and leveraging all of our resources together and not competing against each other? So I think that's another really big part of what this category is all about. Let's see the other one. There we go. Recommendations for future resources. This could be a lot of different things in regards to more grants. How do we do opportunities for fundraising? sponsorships, shields. They provide a great opportunity for us over at Stryker. They donated $1 million, and we use that $1 million to make improvements to Stryker. Evergy is another one that enhanced NASCAR Park, so that was a great partnership there where we were able to get sponsorships. So those are a lot of things that we really want to think about and have in the master plan opportunities for increasing our resources. And categorizing those in several different areas. If we are going to be in a situation where we're reducing our resources, do we maintain status quo, and opportunities for increasing resources? All right, this one is probably the one that I'm most excited about is a strategic plan with an implementation plan. Once we get some ideas in place, once we get opportunities of getting ideas and community engagement from the community, how do we put those things into place? It's not just a matter of having a wish list. What things are going to be prioritized, what things are going to have most impact, and really thinking strategically is how do we put those items into an implementation plan. And I think having a consultant helping us with that is going to be really impactful. And the development of the final plan is what it's all set up to deal with in the next 15 years, next 20 years. One of the things that's really kind of frustrating to me is, and there's some really good things about it, but some things have just kind of fallen out of the sky into our laps. Stryker is one of those, NASCAR Park, Chester Lewis, those are all projects that have made huge impacts in our community. I can't imagine what we would be like without them now that we have them. But I think we need to come up with a more strategic plan that really maps out what we're going to be doing in the next 15 or 20 years. An example is wonderful person came up and talked a little bit about dog parks and what is the strategy in regards to our dog parks is just one little item of what the master plan could be. So those analysis are really, really helpful to put up a final plan that gives us a roadmap for the future. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're going to be working more on this, sharing some more thoughts and ideas with some other stakeholders, some other folks in regards to staff. We want to meet with the planning department because we want the planning department to be a big part of this as well. Council has some interest in this as well. So we're going to put all that together. And timeline is what we're looking at. If we do get the funding, it does go through the CIP. That funding is available come January 2nd, because on January 1st, I'm not coming to work. But on the 2nd, I'll be coming to work and start initiating a lot of funding. But we could even be doing more things ahead of that. So I can actually create the RFP. And I think we're going to go with a request for proposal instead of a request for qualifications, because we are really focused in on what we want to get out of this. I think we have a really good idea of what the final outcomes should be. And so we want to implement that into the RFP, saying we want X, Y, Z as the outcome from our consultant. So I think we can actually start working on, that's kind of what the draft is all about. We want to turn that into a solid request for proposal and putting that out sometime in November so we get feedback and responses by December. We can actually create a contract before the end of the year. So at the beginning of the year, when that consultant wants a little bit of payment, we're not going to pay them all at once. But when they're going to ask for a little bit of payment, we can actually have the funds to do that. So that's kind of a little bit of the timeline. Any other questions or comments, concerns?
Well, this commission is helping with this.
Definitely.
Who? I thought we already had names on it.
I can't hear you.
Is it the same three board members that are participating?
So we had a subcommittee just to review the some of the items in regards to the qualification. I'm sorry, no, some of the outcomes that we wanted, some of the specifications. But obviously, this is going to come back in full to kind of get approval from this board.
So in January, when the RFP begins, we'll have another subcommittee identified of 3 park board members.
We haven't got that far yet, but I definitely had an idea that this park where it's gonna be part of that community engagement, part of
I
the,
think that was your question, right, Doug?
Yeah, but I thought we had already.
We had Phil, Eddie, Nate.
Yeah,
Three of us.
yeah, thanks.
But we haven't made any decisions yet, just to be clear.
that's correct, right?
Okay.
So the request for proposal is still draft. I think we have a few more areas that we need to review with some of the stakeholders, some staff. We definitely need to go back and meet with the planning department because this is something the planning department should be involved with. So, yeah, we'll come back with a final request for proposal for you guys to support. So in the meantime, I think there might be some questions.
Public, maybe?
Public? Marjorie? If you're, or you speak loud, can she stay? No, your name's.
I remember being here one time and you guys had talked about what you're gonna do for ADA facility, and when the last person was here, I said, you know, here's some ADA from like Dungeon City. I was just wondering, did you guys on that, or is that still on hold?
I think what you're talking about in regards to Clap Park for an ADA playground. And we have been moving forward with that. I think we're actually moving dirt. No.
There's equipment out there right now.
Okay, equipment is being installed.
Construction equipment like dozers.
So we are moving dirt.
We're moving dirt. Yeah.
Yes. So we had put together a plan that is roughly a little over $2 million in regards to the playground equipment and also additional art that's going to complement the park. We've also done some work in regards to bridge work, so we can have additional access as well for the walkers and people using the park. So we should have a ribbon cutting. I do believe we'll have that by the end of the year.
Depends on when we can get pour in place. It depends on weather.
Okay, maybe January, but yes.
You won.
Yeah. So that project is more than moving forward. Okay.
Troy, thing I would have to say is that it might be a good idea to just create a little bit of a information campaign about what this is, and this is not something that is, and you know, it's not a first time doing this. This goes back a long time. Maybe that's that Katie can probably put out there in the Facebook page that what you guys are working on, right?
You talking about the master plan?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think there's some misinformation about what it is right now.
Mhm.
I think that would help, you know, to say, hey, look, the first one's done 100 years ago, so this is nothing new. It's just it's an ongoing thing that all parks do, systems do.
If I can follow up on that,
Yeah.
what I heard the other night at the budget public meeting was, this is the excuse to give us a reason to start selling off or cutting down
Right.
budget. And I would prefer it be the other way around. This is the excuse to put more money in, to expand our park services, to expand our playground equipment, show why we need to support that. That's what I would like this to protect.
And that's kind of where I was going with this. So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. That some people think this is something that is going to be used to take away something, but it's not. It's something to gain and to add and to enhance. So
That's what master plans are all about.
exactly. Well, people don't know what a master plan is, right? So that's why, you know, something that shows like, hey, here's the one that LW Clapp did, right? And so say, hey, this goes back a long time. We've been doing this forever. Now this is looking us to the future. So.
Right. Master plans give us options, but also give us direction. And that's kind of what we're looking for. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we are sitting on because we don't have options or the direction.
I say that we know that because we're involved with you, but I think a lot of people don't know what that is, and then they understand that it's sort of like a business plan almost in a way, right?
So that is forthcoming, and I think there's just a few more steps that we want to get done before we put it all the way out. So.
And that's why the most important thing is the short-term plan. Because the short-term plan may be, now that we know what we know about the budget, the short-term plan may be moving forward, but not maybe moving forward at fast pace. it may be moving forward with some improvements. Not what we'd like to have, but
What we need to have.
what we need to have.
So, yep.
Yeah, so that's a good point.
Yep.
Need versus want.
Correct.
And so the next step is very important. The next step is important, so.
Yeah, going back again, needs assessment is a critical part of this. It's not just, a master plan is not a wish list. Okay, it's not something that says, I wish this would be all these things and we would be Disneyland. But you gotta have a vision and you have to have that community input as well to find out what does the community need and want as part of it. But it's all balanced in regards to how are we going to get the resources we need to manage that to address our short-term needs, whether it's to be compliant, whether it's safety, whether it's just plain operational. And then what are some of the things that we can go beyond that for enhancement, for opportunities for better community pride, more unique opportunities for recreational programs and recreational opportunities. So,
Or if I can add before we move on, because we don't have a vote on this. We don't have it's just an update. I mean, so to the public and the park board, we're not in the business of selling park land. It's already difficult enough to acquire as it is. And so I just hope that Troy, as a president of the board, as we're going into this, my vision isn't that this is a plan that talks about selling assets, but how do we continue to enhance, meet those needs that we have, but also create a world-class parks and recreation system, because we've received numerous awards as a community, but all of them have been tied back to the Parks Department. Remind me, what was the League of Cities Award that we received a couple years ago? It was about health and parks and recreation, but the last three we've received have all been associated with our Parks Department. And so all of that to say, my hope is that as we're going through this master planning process, that we be ambitious, because Ms. Bishop was correct. Our parks are an asset, and the green space itself. I mean, we've seen the push and the love of the community for just even our trees and planting more trees and replenishing our tree canopy and all of those things. And so I hope that the community understands that we truly are here to protect our park system and to enhance the system that we have.
Is there a risk analysis in here?
not exactly sure to what point you're asking for a risk analysis.
What's the risk of this, of implementing this plan?
So I would think that it's not necessarily based on risk, it's more based on a couple of things. What is the community engagement? What does the community want? How do we address those or make those things come to fruition? What are the needs assessments? What are some of the things that have to happen or should happen? How do we implement those? I don't think there's anything there that says here's what the risk is by not doing it or by doing it. It's just whether those opportunities come to fruition or not.
Questions?
Were you gonna say you wanted it?
No, I just wanted to second the motion. In terms of trees. Keeping the green spaces just because they are green, it's a space and improves property values around them. So.
I did mention that in our subcommittee meeting, right? How does this impact our CDP, which is the Climate Disclosure Project? How does that impact the city score? Right now, the city score for CDP is a D. So how does this impact those kind of things, right? So.
Thank you. Okay, Troy, we are moving to the Empower Lease Agreement. Thank you, everybody. You'll see more. We'll keep us updated on this as we move forward.
This is great because I can just say, Reggie, it's your turn.
Richard Davidson, Superintendent of Recreation. So this is another opportunity to kind of show what you talked about earlier about how key partnerships are to the services that we provide for the community. I want to give you a little bit of background about the Evergreen, Empower Relief. So, Empower Evergreen is found to be incorporated. And back in December of 2023, the Park Board about drafting the lease agreement with the Power. Lease spaces for Unity at Evergreen Rec Center that was formerly the space that was used for the community resource center that moved over to the new library. And with the space that we're using here now, it will be used for moving forward for the small business development, workforce readiness, and the lease will be activating a space that's currently not being utilized. So this kind of gives you a map of where we're actually located. So the area that's here on the right is where the rec center is. Another space that's here, a fitness center. Then the area that's in the box there is the actual space that's currently not being used. So this partnership will actually be with Empower as well as with Goodwill Industries. It's for a 5-year option for renewal for 2 additional 5-year terms. The recent lease is for $1 for full term for the year for the actual rental space, but we will be using common area spaces there. And it will be a $500 per month rent that we actually using for the couple of utilities that are there on site for that particular location. And the important thing about this particular lease is it actually gives us an opportunity to expand some services that are a big need in the community and be able to partner with an organization that does a really good job of doing that and meeting the need there. So we will offer small business development and education, the workforce readiness opportunities, citizenship education classes. And we'll also be providing a quarterly schedule of what that looks like. And I'll be working directly with the Empower and the Goodwill team. And we'll meet regularly and look at what we're achieving each year. How do we move forward with offering those classes? And what things are we doing to actually make an impact in the community? So we put some thresholds in place of what that's going to look like. And then we'll be measuring those things to make sure that we're meeting those goals. And the big goal of that is, I mentioned earlier, some space that we're currently not utilizing, and they're going to make an investment of $200,000 in that actual space to move forward and making improvements. So that's a big plus for the community, as well as being able to utilize that space to the best of its ability to make an impact there. And our recommendation is to ask the park board to approve this agreement with Empower and Evergreen and Goodwill Industries, Kansas. And we've already presented it to the council member in that particular district, and she's supportive of it. And we've been working with our real estate services as a representative here as well. And then we also represented from Goodwill and Empower that's here also today. And I'll stand for any questions you guys may have. He's losing my voice here.
Okay, and we've got a few folks as well who indicated that we're here to speak. So we've got Laura, Chris, and Dave. You all want to share comments?
Can if there are questions, but that's up to you all.
So we do have Laura, who is the president CEO of Goodwill, as well as Dave Chadwick, who's the chief operating officer, as well as Ariel Rodriguez, who's the executive director for Empower. And we have John Philbrook, who's with our real estate services as well.
The 200,000 donation, or is this to improve that? Is it one single room? Is it a series of rooms? How's that? What is the setup right now, and what is the improvement?
Sure. So we actually got the layout today from Goodwill and Empower, what that's going to look like. So existing space that we have now has some classroom open spaces there. So we're going to actually add on some additional classroom, open it up where it's more usable space for the community actually have for some classes that we have, as well as create some other office space for the team that will be there on site.
Being as it's your district.
Yeah.
You're a busy guy.
I go to Evergreen all the time, the library there in the center. But I make a motion that we approve what has been proposed here.
Second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you, Reggie. Okay, Troy, you're up again for rugby. Bring them all.
Oh, I got one upstairs.
What are you doing?
I got a rugby ball upstairs.
Where Glen Day Park is, I forget.
It's an Olympic sports. B.
Need me or not.
You didn't bring it and you knew rugby was on the agenda?
down all the way up there.
It's already here. It's up by 96.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Feel like the south side of that road. I was thinking about fake or whatever. Yeah.
Coke.
I've definitely got lost even just driving past me. It's like, oh, I'll just look around. Nope, I don't know where I'm
It was just popular, man.
Corporate director, so that's why.
That's cool that your son's working on that project.
But Toronto. State. There's goes to work businesses across the US. An idea, okay, keep track of.
That's awesome, man.
So I think that's kind of maybe a little backwards from the city. Like six, that's what I'm figuring out.
Yeah, I haven't used it for that actually. It's just so much easier to sign up for stuff using the app actually. So I've used it for all our summer random
Look at
stuff.
that.
Yeah. So.
Or is it just mostly water, more water than you?
You're pretty good. Yeah, I've only been here about 4 years, so I'm still just good.
Outdoor sports. It's the lake, maybe. RV sites and fishing.
It's cool that they're doing that.
It's just.
Yeah, I figured it couldn't be that much cost, right?
So NG.
Pretty kind of cost over there. Those steel 4x4.
Not after. Get the steel, bro. Because my buddy owns Central Steel. That's how. Okay, let me know. Donate it.
That's really from them. We're supposed to be about it's supposed to be a challenge though. But you can't start working hours until they get a yes for. Yeah. Especially if I know it's good. It's an area. But yes. It's pretty simple. Nature trail. There's the signs. Even if it's a little bigger.
So I apologize for the delay and we're gonna change a little bit. I thought we had a presentation, but we lost it, all kinds of weird stuff. Technical difficulties, however, so a couple of things just to share with you guys. There is a rugby club here in Wichita that we partner with currently already. They're in Harrison Park that they use, one of our park areas. We've developed a field with them. They've actually found some donations. I think there's some lighting that they put up. And worked with them in regards to maintenance. And they've done some really great stuff here, growing the game of rugby. So they have an opportunity to grow the game even more. And we've been really glad to be partnering with them in the past, and we want to do this more in the future. So now that we have some available space in South Lakes, since we ended up not moving forward with the pickleball complex, we're looking at the same spot basically in regards to this rugby complex. They came out and talked to us and shared some of their ideas of what the future is going to look like. They really think that they're going to grow the game, add more youth opportunities for rugby, expand the adult programming for rugby as well. This is probably going to have an impact in regards to economic impact, bring in tournaments and different out-of-town guests to come play here in Wichita. So they're asking for an expanded area other than Harrison, and one that's more dedicated just for them. And so we are looking at these 3 fields and then some of this space over here as well. This should look really familiar because we've been talking about South Lakes a lot, about this whole area. And one of the reasons why the pickleball complex was kind of a great idea for this location is because there's so much space. We have a lot of space that's not being used to its fullest potential. So a lot of the soccer has moved to other locations. We're still using this for youth football, but it doesn't get used to its fullest potential. So the idea is to fence these 3 fields off and have exclusive use for the team, for the rugby folks to have this as their own location. Now, we haven't finalized the agreement yet, and there's a lot of other little details that need to be taken care of. However, I still want to have access to these fields if and when I need them. For any particular reason, if we have a large event, we need all 16 fields and that kind of stuff. But primarily, they'd be responsible for most of the maintenance and upgrades. They would be responsible for any of the capital improvements to the area. And we would just work with them like we do with all of our other vendors and partners as well. We currently do that right now with them in regards to a really small lease fee that we have over at Harrison. So this is the essence of the agreement. We have not, like I said, got down to the nitty gritty of all the different details, but it would take these 3 fields and some of the space down here that would be dedicated to this club for their rugby activities. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to ask for a vote of support. But in the meantime, if you could share some of the things that I missed and all the things that you guys are doing and some of the expectations you have for the future.
Thank you. I'm Dave Ferris. I'm the Vice President of the Wichita Rugby Foundation, or 501c3 corporation. I founded the Wichita Rugby Club here in 1992. At that time, we had 1 men's club, and that's it. Currently, we have 2 full men's size, got about 60, 65, 70 gentlemen registered playing. We have a full women's side, 20 members, and we have over 100, right about 105 kids right now. Grade school flag, middle school tackle, and high school tackle. I'm the head coach of the middle school tackle club. My kids have gone on and played through. As a little bit of historical background, we signed our first non-exclusive use agreement with the city at Harrison Park in 1993. So we've had 31 years working with you. Since that time, we have put up our own goalposts, our own lights, our own scoreboard, our own irrigation. We've crowned the field. We've overseeded. We've fertilized. You name it, we've done it. At no cost to the city. We put all that in ourselves with our own money. And that's exactly what we're looking to do here. The 2 problems we have at Harrison Park, we love it out there. It's a full-size rugby field, which you don't see a lot in the Midwest. But we can't keep people off it. So it gets torn up bad, and there's just nothing we can do about that. But secondly is vandalism, vehicles driving on it. Obviously, we can't fence that off on a non-exclusive use. So it's open to the public, but we get the first shot to use it. So that's problem number 1. But problem number 2 is we just simply outgrown it. I mean, we now have, because we have an alumni side also that I dabble in. So we've got 6 clubs now practicing out there. And even if we're out there 5 nights a week, there's no way to make that work. So currently we rent other fields. We rented from you here last spring to practice and play the junior marbles matches, and we had to rent Andover High and Collegiate High to get practice space so the men could use Harrison. And we just would love to have our own place to call home. And so we've already raised the capital. That's done. So our plan here is the same. We want to put up a fence on us, to make sure that we can maintain those areas ourselves. It's already irrigated, but we would put up the lights, we put up scoreboards, we put up the goalposts, we put up seating if necessary. Maybe we can use some existing bleachers there, but we'll purchase them ourselves if we have to. We'll open them up to the city if they need to be used, but for the most part, we'd like access to those ourselves. We do everything we do at the fields now. It just be more of an exclusive use agreement. I'd love to show you our great PowerPoint, but unfortunately, I'm going to blame Troy for not getting it over here. I can show you a lot more detail, but the funds are there. We're ready to go. We can have everything up and running in a matter of months. But we got a lot of kids playing, a lot of adults playing. We'd love to grow the game. We just need a place to do it.
Well, you shared, thank you. Thank you, Dave, for sharing. Thank you. Before you shared, previously that we have a lot of agreements. Would this be similar to what we have with First Tee at MAC?
That's actually a really good example. But we already have an agreement with them over at Harrison Park, and this would be a different location, but very, very similar. But yes, First Tee, that's an excellent example. They built their facility on our parkland. They operate at no cost to us, and this would be very similar. They have an exclusive right to these 3 fields. But I'm sure if they're gonna be having really large tournaments, they're gonna need to use the other fields. But again, I think the economic impact of starting this will be the foundation for some bigger things. And I was halfway joking, but when I was coming up here, but the Olympics this year really featured a lot of play from rugby, both men's and women's. There's many universities that are starting their programs with rugby, both men's and women's. So I'm always in favor of anything that we can do to get the youth involved and activities for them to stay in shape and learn new skills. Just like all of our other sports, League 42 is a great example of opportunities for kids to have those experiences working as a team, leadership opportunities to learn new skills. This is right there. So we've had great positive relationship with the rugby club. They've always come through to do whatever they said they're going to do. We have a lot of faith in them. We think this is a great opportunity. So from the staff's point of view, we are supportive of this. We've been talking about this for 6 months, 7 months at least. And we also looked at some other sites, some other opportunities, but this I think is almost ready-made because the utilities are there if they want to grow. I should say when they grow. And it's a space that is really accessible. So we're on board. We're ready. So hopefully you guys will support it.
So dumb question here. Someone who knows who's up to bat in the score of every softball game going on over there, am I going to get educated on rugby and understand who's playing and whatnot when I'm out playing in the front yard because your speaker's going up?
We don't have speakers.
All right.
So the reason why we chose this location instead of same reason when we were talking about pickleball. If you recall, the original idea for pickleball was we were going to use these.
Oh, I'm great for up there.
So
it's a bit closer to my house.
These folks over here.
I don't care about those folks.
I do. So noise pollution, I think, is going to be very minimal, very light. The opportunity for them to put lighting, I think there's going to be with new technology. We're not going to have as tall of the lights that we have over here at baseball, and it doesn't require that much. And they're not doing a whole lot of high passes. So I think if and when we do put the lighting, it's not going to be 50-foot towers. It'll probably be between 25, 30 feet. But also we have all the street canopy that's blocking it as well. So this corner right here has the least amount of impact. I think you live somewhere over here. Is that right? Down here?
Well, there's 55th. Yeah, that big, nice little pond. Yeah.
So you go fishing. All right.
We know where our summer party could be.
Right.
worksheet.
So again, it's just very similar to what we were looking at the site for pickleball. Now we're just changing it over to rugby. Any other questions?
Dave, do you partner also with any of the universities for rugby, or do they have their own field?
Yeah, no, that we don't. There's not a club.
There's not a club at any universities. Okay,
So
thanks.
the college kids just play for the men's club right now.
Thanks.
There wasn't a WSU in the eighties, but it's long gone.
Is this a lease agreement or just a ability to use agreement? Thinking again about the meeting the other night, cost recovery, revenue. That's what I heard, that they want us to be earning money from our parks.
So we're looking at, basically a lease agreement for them to have for a certain amount of years. And, again, it's not costing us anything. Actually, it's gonna relieve us of some of the overhead because they'll be taking care of some of those operating costs. I think if I answer your question.
Well, I don't quite agree with what was said the other night at the budget meeting in terms of parks earning money for the city. Is more, want to make sure there's cost recovery, which we always get a report on that.
And that could take different types of, it could be the recovery of lower maintenance fee from the city.
Yeah.
Because they're taking care of it.
Right.
So I'm guessing that that's pretty easily a cost recovery.
Yeah, you could call that revenue.
Yeah.
Well, it sheds me of expenses. Yeah. We're not looking, it's not like we're looking for revenue off of this. And same thing with a lot of our partners. It's not like we're out there saying we need to have X amount of dollars in regards to revenue.
You're not strong arming the community.
However, when there's opportunities that we can share the costs and they're willing to do that, it becomes a win-win.
There's another door. Is there any structures or anything like that that will be built or? And
Probably gotta be a concession stand.
I'm imagining that's gonna be the south side of it.
So as I mentioned, this area right here would be an opportunity if they're gonna grow, well, I should say.
When they grow, as they grow.
There would be an opportunity to put, an idea is to put a clubhouse there that would have showers, would have an opportunity for them to have a classroom, very similar to some of the other places that we have.
Sounds great.
These two.
There you go.
Again, we chose this spot over here because it's closer to areas that we know we have some utilities.
Like, this is in your district, sir.
So we're looking to get a
Motion to support?
Well, I don't have to listen to them.
Give it out there.
I have no problem with this. Motion for rugby to come in, take over 3 fields in South Lakes.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, same sign?
Maybe we'll be working on, maybe we can start working on an agreement.
Okay. Thank you, guys. All right, Troy, we've got, our friends from the Holocaust Memorial.
Yes.
Got, Matthew Cartwright to speak, is that correct?
Yep. If there's, here too.
Oh.
Just south of the softball fields. Yeah. So down here. Things we got.
Should have asked the question. Read those lots enough to put in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna just make sure they got that.
Same thing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is instead of PowerPoint, we're gonna go through each one of these PDFs. But I'll just get started in regards to, we've been working with these folks in regards to this idea of this Holocaust memorial and located near the river. So we've had several discussions with the city manager and the city attorney's office. And so they're gonna share some really good details in regards to what this memorial is gonna look like, what are going to be the text on there. I think you guys have a copy of all that, which is really kind of nice. So I'll just pass this on. There you go.
That's what 91 years does to them. Mr. Houghton, Commissioners. My name is Bob Kaplan. I'm a local attorney and I'm the project originator. With me today is Mr. Matt Cartwright, waiting to present with MJC Architecture. He designed the monument and the panels that go with it. Did a tremendous job. I gave each one of you a set. If you care to, you can read them and you can read the panel. I also have Mr. Charles Harris. Mr. Harris is a former law partner. He's an author and he's a historian. And he did a lot of the inscription work and wrote the panel. Particularly interesting, I think, is the rise of Adolf Hitler. You might be interested in reading it. It's very, very interesting. Finally, Rabbi Michael Davis, Temple Emmanuel in Wichita. Rabbi is an advisor to the committee, hopefully a fundraiser. After World War II, West German government passed an indemnification law, indemnifying relatives for deaths of Jews and for many others, including the Roma Russian soldiers, physically handicapped, mentally handicapped, as Mr. John Philbrick put it to me, anybody that was different. Adolf Hitler thought was inappropriate. The trouble was, the law required proof of death and proof of property loss. As you might expect, there were no records that survived the Holocaust. The survivors of the camp, the death camps, had nothing but the rags on their back. Although I had no ancestors involved, several of the Holocaust survivors found their way to Wichita. And I represented them doing their applications with the help of an attorney in Munich, Germany. I had retained to assist me. One survivor refused the money. He said it was dirty. It was dirty, he didn't want it. I would like to tell you his story, but I can't. I can't get through it emotionally. I cry, which I'm about to do now. It's beyond belief. But the Nazi atrocities, what they did to people, you wouldn't believe it if I told you. It's true. But there's just nothing that I can tell you about it because it's just impossible to accept. A number of years ago, I was in downtown Baltimore, Maryland, and I came across their Holocaust monument in Baltimore. It was created by the state of Maryland. It has to be very simple, but very meaningful inscription. And I quote it: "Those who fail to remember are likely to repeat." That prompted me to want a memorial in Wichita. I'm going to ask Mr. Cartwright to make a presentation of the slides and the monument that he drew. Matt?
Thank you, Bob. My name is Matt Cartwright. I'm MJC Architecture. Address 450 North, 159th Street East, Wichita, but just on the Butler side, getting the ultimate either side. Bob has been a longtime friend of mine and asked me to help with this one. I'm really looking forward to it. I appreciate all of the assistance from city staff to date. We've gotten a lot of good leadership. So as far as location, this is a blown up map. I might start with the second. Let me back up for just a half second. Little broader view, Central Avenue. We have the Veterans Park down to the south, southeast. Parking looks to be associated with the old KG&E plant. And this particular piece of ground is a reserve that the city has. It was suggested we look at this site. We went through a couple of site tours, Bob and Rabbi Davis walked through this and found this opportunity. Because this memorial is relatively small, just 20-foot in diameter, we were able to kind of snuggle in back behind. And you might help me. What's the name of the other to the west?
So that's the Vietnam Memorial. It's not a war memorial, so it's not in the Memorial Park. It's just outside where you guys are in that space.
But also because of this proximity, in the last plaque, I'll point it out, we've got a little bit of a dedication to our liberators and to Kansas specifically. And that's a bit of a bridge or a reach out to the actual proximity to the Veterans Park.
zooming in a little bit closer. And we turned this a little bit just to fit on the sheet. Wanted to reach, or just mention Bachman has been really assisting us with the site layout, getting the legal definition, the mapping, and so forth put together. But we've basically are going to be tying on to the existing walk with an accessible walk that will reach up to the specific planned area. And similar to that, linking back down and connecting to that existing sidewalk that runs along the edge of the Veterans Park and of course the river. The actual plan of this will include a few setting benches. We'll have an outside perimeter concrete ribbon of concrete right on the surface, which will encase some rubble stone aggregate pavers. We envision that all being concrete. On the backside will be a 2 foot, approximately 2 foot high edge height, which will then support 6 individual large monuments that will be relieved so that the 4-inch granite or marble will be set into those and mounted. Those will be set up in this array so individuals can kind of sequence through each one of the plaques, A all the way through there. A starting with Ryan of Hitler, again F, taking the liberator if you can to in the center, as Bob mentioned, is the primary message. And again, we can go through those plaques very quickly. It's probably too much for a presentation for everybody to read, but the commissioners have copy. It's brought. Material-wise, again, concrete, crumbled stones. People know when they enter that space. Sense of the older architecture. Much permanence as we can get. We want something here that really is better. General, again, layout. Hitler, it is a long story. That pretty much set the size of our plaques. Was that work that Charlie put together, really talking and trying to condense down that, but really get the bullets of how he rose to power. Again, some wonderful quotes. Eisenhower, our late again from Kansas, he was commander and made a point to make sure that we documented what we observed. Good suggestion of our city staff and that connection to Kansas. Again, and then another at the very end, Kansas liberation. Panels would be 4-inch thick marble panels. We can advise that standard legible height is 3/4 inch, but in particular locations that has been raised out to 1 inch and 2 inches where it was. Just going to click through these very quickly. Our smaller committee has been kind of on these for the last week and a half. Now, every little bus is taken all and worked out. But again, if any of our members for those or have any questions, please, reach out to me and we will make these.
Plaque F looked good. You got a little spacing problem in Plaque F.
I'm sorry, sir.
Plaque F looked good. We got a little spacing problem before you hit it. I hope we lose.
Well, I had
Okay.
you were talking about the space between words.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're working for is the aesthetic between the plaques and getting above the left and right. And yeah, sometimes it really does space the words out. It's just an odd.
Well, you got like halfway through a sentence. When you click on F, it's final solution.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah, the one yeah, okay. Thank you.
I just don't want you to print it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still. Can't ever serve that.
Back B.
Recommendation to our deliberator. Again, our goal is motion, try to kind of speak to the specific.
Can you go back to the map? Show where the river is in central. Across down here is the Indian Center and Keeper of the Plains.
That's that.
Exploration, okay. So the, yeah, okay. So this is looking south is the bottom.
South is down.
And there's elevation that's what the curved path is. It rises up from the riverbank to that.
Yes, it does.
I remember looking over there and there's trees around there, shrubs. Seemed like there's some landscaping.
Along the path, there's a pretty good amount, and a few right in the side area.
But I think any trees down. Adding trees all the time.
Trees. She's getting a second. That was good. Yeah.
Those trees are gonna be removed.
Facility. I know that's a nice spot.
We actually looked at several spots. Actually, and each one of those spots had pros and cons. But this one came out on top, simply because it's so close to the river. It's in a situation where we have other memorials. It's not part of the Veterans Memorial, but you know what, there is some connection there.
I don't understand that. It's not part of Veterans Memorial.
No.
The city owns the whole area that is on there.
That is correct. However, Veterans Memorial is a very distinct space that is only has memorials in regards to two things, branches of service and actual war activities. So memorial for World War I, World War II, Korean War, not necessarily aspects within those wars, or there's no memorial towards in Veterans Memorial for a particular person or persons. So that's why this is sitting right outside of it. So this would be at no cost to the city. They will pay for the production and installation of this memorial. Any of the grading and whatnot would impacts, we would go through it, make sure that's taken care of. And if there's any remediation of the disturbed soil or area, we'll work with them on getting that taken care of. So it's definitely an opportunity for us and something that we support. Staff has gone through the messaging that you guys have and looked at it very thoroughly. We went through the law department, they gave us some feedback, but for the most part, I think all of those messages are hugely impactful. And when I went and read them the first time, it really kind of was a gut punch. You know, if you really spent some time reading it and thinking about what some of our friends had to go through during World War II. So staff supports this. We would, if this is supported by the parks, park board, will take this to design council, and then we'll take it to council. So there's still a few more steps to go through, and final details in regards to everything, in regards to all the spacing and all the fonts and all those type of things. But we just wanted you guys to see generally what it's going to look like, what the message is going to be, and we wanted to get the park board to support it.
What security concerns are in the area? Now that we already have problems with graffiti in parks, are we having current issues in this particular area?
So again, it's right next to Veterans Memorial Park, which will be installing some cameras in the future, which probably will be covering this area as well. Because this is an area of, I'm not sure how to really approach this, but it's a memorial site. It's probably receives the least amount of graffiti or or kind of vandalism than anywhere else in our park system. So we hope that will continue to be the same. There's a lot of activity here, people walking up and down the river, which more activity means there's less risk.
It's a very popular area. Walking there.
How do you pronounce that river?
It's nearby, but it's further to the upper left.
Yeah, there's parking up here. This is actually city property up here. That uses parking. You can actually park over here where the keeper is and walk over here to this direction. One of the things that one of my favorite veterans that's on Veterans Memorial Incorporated, the board that helps us maintain this, he's in a wheelchair. And a couple years ago, he really gave me a lot of grief about, he's a Marine. He gave an Army guy a lot of grief in regards to access in his wheelchair. So we made some new trails and did some concrete work, which actually is this whole area right here, which gives better access to this area. So again, it's an opportunity where we already have ADA access.
We need a motion of support.
Yes, please.
It's District 6, right?
It is District 6.
So I make a motion to approve this proposal.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. And for our team, we'll be going to Design Council next.
Troy, we've got ducks.
Yeah. It came up harder.
No, we're running, guys. We're running.
It's underground. Congratulations. Thank you for 15 minutes. Any more steps we got to take? Appreciate you.
Need to go.
Keep it, just gotta get good food too. Tyler else to eat.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, Jesse, you can go off. Probably gonna email you, have you email us for updates and stuff. We don't stay here till 6.
I watch all the golf.
I don't even try to find them.
Man, those meetings are so interesting to me.
All right, the next item I have is in regards to a lease agreement renewal with Ducks Flying Discs, which is at Clap Park. So if you recall, a few years back when we closed the golf course and turned it into a park, we had it in a building that was not being used. I was approached by the owner of Ducks Flying Discs, and because we have a disc golf course there, it really made a whole lot of sense for him to utilize the space. The introductory rent was pretty inexpensive to get him in there, but he made a lot of improvements and he promised to make a whole lot of repairs, which he has done. And one of the things that they do very well is in regards to keeping an eye on the entire park. So it's really been a win-win for everybody. The previous lease began in 2021, and it's continued for 2 additional years. So now we're looking at escalating the rent from $300 a month to $500 a month. And see where, as you all know, this is where the location is at. Here's Clap Park, which you guys have probably seen this many times. Here is the area, the parking lot, and then here is the building. One of the other things that they do that's really beneficial and it's going to be helpful in the future as well is they have access to bathrooms and they clean the bathrooms. It's not open 24/7. However, during the operating hours, it's an opportunity for people to go in there, buy a soda. They have some other food and knickknacks, and then they sell discs as well. But they've been a great partner and a great support in regards to not just to the disc golf folks, but all of our special events, all the people that use this park. And this area right over here is where our new playground is going to be going in place. I talked about it a little bit earlier, $2 million on an all accessible playground, and we've broken ground. We're getting equipment. Hopefully by January, February, it'll be open and ready to go. And we put it at this location primarily so that people can have access to the clubhouse. And if they need to use the restroom, they need to get they need shelter, if it's raining or whatnot, there's a place for them to go to. And they can keep an eye on the playground as well. So these are a lot of the invaluable things that we have partnered with them on that has worked out really well. So we're looking at 5 years with an option of 5 more years, the rent of $500 a month. The second year term will be $550. He's able to sell his concessions and alcohol there. The alcohol is primarily beer, canned beer. And it's very popular with our disc golfers. However, we've never had too much of an issue, and they've never really abused that situation. So it's been great. Ducks must coordinate with the city on all of their special events. But again, they also support all of our special events as well. 5 parking spaces reserved for their employees, and Ducks is responsible for all the utilities. Here's some of the things that they do. They pick up all the fallen leaves, or I'm sorry, limbs. And they just do some general maintenance overall, keeping the park looking nice. They provide information, public restrooms I've talked about, and they help with the scheduling of the park. And they're just an on-site presence. It's great when we have that eyes and ears on the park. So we're looking for the approval of release of Ducks Flying Discs at the Clap Park Clubhouse. Any questions?
For staff?
When we get the playground built, is that gonna be a problem with the alcohol sales, the parents and the children?
No.
Kids can only drink while they're done.
So we have, we sell alcohol at the tennis center, we sell alcohol at the baseball and softball fields. So obviously they're gonna be making sure that they're not selling to any of the underage, which they do through their processes.
Didn't sell it, they'd bring it.
Other questions? Bill, this is you.
Make a motion to approve the lease agreement with Ducks Flying Discs for the Clap Park Clubhouse.
Second. Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Troy, we've got a conversation about budgeting with you and the team.
I'm gonna say that for last, I'm gonna just run it really quick and share with you guys the things that we've been doing in regards to the drought, going into stage 2. Prior to going into stage 2, our staff was very involved in already setting out standards for all of our irrigation and all of our water use. So we were already meeting all of stage 2 requirements, even if we're using well water. Several of our facilities use well water. And using that well water, we're still just going with a 1 time a week irrigation. The only exception is 2 areas, our revenue generating fields. So some of our softball fields, some of our baseball fields where we actually generate revenue, that's an exception. And that's per the code in regards to the drought response. But even at those, instead of watering 3 or 4 times a week, we're only watering those locations twice a week. And the other exception, excuse me, is at our golf courses. And even at the golf courses, again, we reduce the amount of watering at the golf courses. What's great is the majority of our golf courses on well water or actually use reclaimed water. So we have several ponds that collect storm water, and then we use that storm water to irrigate the golf courses. So we are trying to be really, really good stewards of all of our water. A couple of little things that we're going to be doing as we are closing our pools. Our pools closed this past yesterday. We're going to be drawing the water from those pools to water trees. So it's an extra step. It's a little bit more labor intensive, but that's our efforts in regards to using water that would normally just go down the drain. We're going to use that water to irrigate our trees. So that should give you a smile.
Chlorine.
Thinking about chlorine.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people think about that as an issue. So I've been doing this for many, many years. When I was in Austin, we would do backwashing and water would just run right into the park. Typically, the chlorine in the pool is between 2 to 5 parts per million. Your drinking water has typically about 1 to 2 parts per million of chlorine in it. A short period of time in the sunlight, that chlorine dissipates in a heartbeat. So when we started closing these pools, and that was Sunday morning, was the last time that it was treated with chlorine. So by now already, it's 24 hours later, even more than that, I would gather that if we did a chlorine test, it would be next to 0 chlorine in that water. So it dissipates very fast in the outdoor conditions, unless you actually put a certain conditioner in that water, which we don't do because that makes the chlorine less effective. So that's not a concern whatsoever.
So no every day.
Yep. So just wanted you guys to be aware of our efforts. People are always asking, what are we doing? And I think we've gone beyond what the stage 2 requirements are.
Give her an update.
So the new trees that we planted, that big plantation that Gary put out there and all the ones along in the zone, those are still being watered to keep them.
Yes, all new trees that we planted are continually being watered. The direction that we were given was not to plant any new trees, which we will catch up on next year.
And then. Final hour.
Yes.
And before Brandon gets started, out of time constraints, we'll have the remaining updates. Can we have those via email, Troy? Okay, thank you.
All right, good afternoon. So I'm not going to do a PowerPoint presentation. We're just going to basically look at the budget and kind of discuss some of the areas and more so of our process and our how we put it together and how we work with the budget office and with finance. So when you go to the city's website, we're just going to go up to departments. We'll come down to the finance department. And we'll move over to the budget. We'll look at the budget CIP documents. And they have put up the 2025 proposed budget and the proposed capital improvement program. I do think it's interesting that this itself is a pretty good communication, just basically letting us know that these two documents are not done in isolation. The budget takes we look at the projects that are in the CIP. We look at see if there's going to have any operational impacts. Are we going to hire more staff based on those different programs? Are we going to have to increase the maintenance budget based on those different projects? And so it does have a direct impact into the proposed budget. So those are not done in isolation. So let's look at the budget. I do like the way this all laid out on the website. You can basically download as much or as little as you want to. They have all these different individual files. So it's pretty easy, pretty customer friendly looking at it. The budget first and foremost is a communications document. When you look at these, and I worked actually in the budget office for about 7 years, for about 7 budget cycles before I made it over to crossed the line over working with departments. Kind of gone is the era of just line items. Budgets don't just tell you how you make your money or how much you spend. They do try to tell you more of a story of what does the organization do. How well are they doing it? What are like the trends on the funding side, and how does that match up with what we're wanting to do? And In the interest of time, I'm not gonna go into all these areas. I will highlight some things I think are beneficial to look at and to read. The city manager's policy message, I think is a good document to be looking at, that sums up, kind of the issues that are impacting this year's budget and also within like the next 3 to 5 years. What are the major issues? And then, what are the strategies in the next, that are included in this budget? If you do go into that area, you will see basically based on their, there's a section organized by like the major goal areas. And if you look at the living well goal area, they have a nice paragraph talking about the Parks Department, talking about the different areas, the different programs and different additions that we're adding into this budget. So the manager does highlight those. And then really for our discussions, we're going to just basically look at the Park and Recreation Department. I do like the way that the PDF is all set out, so it's all tagged. All you really have to do is just touch, and you're right there. So that's really been nice of being able to navigate pretty easy in that document. Basically, the way the budget is organized is that the city sets out what its major areas, what its major focus areas and goals are. The departments, their mission should tie back to that focus area. Ours is living well. And also, I would argue, Wichita well-run city. And then all of our department goals should tie back to that mission, which should tie back to the cities, to that living well. And then all of our programs, everything should roll back up. So when you're looking at the budget, it should tell you kind of the department descriptions, and then we get into like the services. What do those look like? What does recreation do? How does it tie back to that, ultimately to how does recreation support the city's desire to live well? And then we look at how well do we do that? We also do have we do have all of the line items, the roll ups. This is all of our general fund for the entire department. And so they also break that out by the major divisions: park, golf, recreation, the admin side of things. So this is all, and I'll let you guys peruse that, get on the website, look those over. If you have questions, let Troy and I know, we can answer those questions. But kind of more of a discussion on the process. How does that work? So we're going to start in January. Basically in January, the departments are looking over what we did last year. Looking at how did we finish up in 2003 or 2023. And then I start meeting with all of our division heads and with all of our recreation directors. And we started having big meetings. And we talk about what are your needs? How did we finish out last year? Did you guys hit your goals on cost recovery? Did you guys hit your goals on revenue generation? What do we need to do to help you kind of with that? Are there new goals or are there new threats coming up that we need to be planning for? Because there is an opportunity for us in basically from January to March to look at all of our line items, and we can make changes. We can make changes that don't necessarily change the scope of what we're doing, but if we know that material costs are going up or contract costs are going up, we can make those adjustments. We can propose those adjustments in-house without really changing any services that we provide. And we can also look at granular levels and we can reduce one line and increase another. And so those are things and steps that we do basically from January to March. And then concurrently during that process, we also look at our performance measures, and we grab all that information, all that data, and we started looking at, did we make performance goals? The manager is very interested in the performance measurement system and how well we're doing on that. So we collect all that information in the first quarter. so that by April and May, we have one-on-one meetings with like all the departments meet with the city manager and the budget office. So we have sit-down meetings, we talk about how did we finish the year, talk about our performance measures, and then we also talk about any changes that we're wanting to make. Those are called program options. So if we're needing to do more staff, we need to buy more equipment. He gets to look at those, and we make decisions on if that sounds great, or no, we can't do that at this time, or maybe that's a good idea for next year. So all of that happens around April and May. And then also starting in April is the public engagement process. So as the manager continues to see where we're at, and the budget office is producing their revenue estimates, and as he sees more of a not only the overall economic and financial picture, but also what are the things that the departments are wanting to do and what are they struggling with. He puts together we work together to put together kind of the messaging. And so starting in March, April, May, those messages go out to the public and start getting public feedback on are these big issues? What's important to you? I know they do social media engagement through the Facebook and through like the Instagram. The budget office goes and does presentations to all the DABs. And any other organization that basically, if you have an organization and you want the budget office to come and talk to you about the budget, they will do it. They do like to meet with people. So they're working on that part of it, and the public comment does shape. I think the city does a pretty good job of not just taking comments and filing it and doing what they want to, but they do take it to heart, and changes can be made. And then basically by the end of June, beginning of July, the city manager will propose and present the budget to city council, which that has happened. And by the end of August, and that's set by the state, we have a deadline set by the state for them to continue to have public comments. I think we have to have at least 3, or you have to have a certain number of public meetings to have discussions about the budget. And then by the end of August, they'll get approved and adopted. Basically, they can make changes to the current year, and they will adopt next year's budget. And then the budget document will also have, you can see that we have projections for 2026. That 2026 does not get approved or doesn't get adopted officially, but we do have like a proposed budget for that out here. And then once after August is done, then it's implementation, and we continue to monitor the budget. We continue to make sure that that we don't have to make any adjustments, and that we're not overspending. We'll do it all over again in January. So with that, hopefully that helps you guys understand kind of how that process works. Some of the things that we changed last year, we increased. We proposed to increase the mowing contracts because we had some more of those fuel surcharges, and so we were able to do that in that first kind of section. This year, we did have some of our additions. We have a new position over at Watson Park. We're moving a maintenance position from park maintenance. We're going to be moving that position over to Watson Park just to help with some of the ongoing maintenance issues over there, and really stepping up the customer service over at Watson. We're seeing a whole lot more activity than we have in recent years. So we're just needing some more help to bolster what the programming that we're doing there. We also have a new position over in aquatics that got approved, and that's also going to be looking at the maintenance issues, freeing up Joe to do more of the training and the operationals. And so we'll have a maintenance supervisor over on the aquatic side. And then also during the off season, they'll also help being able to help out with the rest of the recreation and helping with maintenance issues over there. We're also looking to, we're consolidating waste collections in the downtown area with, we're getting some trucks from Public Works and some staff members from that, and they're gonna be coming over and joining the Parks Department. And so we'll be, we'll just be able to coordinate better waste collection, especially in the downtown areas. And then we're also, we have a new packer truck. We're gonna be buying a new packer truck, a new smaller packer truck this year. And then golf has 2 new positions. They also are getting in like a mechanic to help cycle around the and coordinate the fixing and ordering of new equipment for all 4 courses. That's one of the big things. So one of the big things I know Jesse's been looking at is improving all of our mowers and improving all of that, and also having someone who can do a lot of in-house corrections and maintenance. And then we're also going to have a customer service person that floats around from all 4 of the different golf courses also. Just also pinching in whenever we have events, and then making sure that we have consistent coverage throughout all 4 courses. So those are the big changes that are happening, some of the big some of the big things that we've done. So with that, have any questions about kind of our process or any changes going on or anything that you may have heard in through the budget process? Did you have questions for me or concerns?
Or is there anything that you need from us we're going through this process? Thank you, Brandon. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your work.
So next year, what I'd like to do is a little bit earlier, when we get into January, February, is to get a little bit more input and feedback from the commissioners about what some of the things, and we haven't really done that very well. And I think that's one of the things we can improve on, is getting commissioners a little bit more involved with the budget process. So just like we have stakeholder engagement, we have our online city, what is it called? The city hall
simulation thing.
Yeah.
The budget simulator.
Budget simulator. But I think we can get a little bit more direct input from the commissioners. So.
Brandon talked about new hires or new positions, or moving people from. How are we doing with employment? I mean, used to be a lot of employment, but.
So Brandon did a good job of explaining some of these positions are not necessarily new positions, but we're moving people from one area to the other. Trash consolidation was a big one, so it had better efficiency throughout the whole organization. So I just wanted to point that out. So to answer your question in regards to how we're doing with employment, we're struggling, having a hard time filling positions. A big part of it is simply because of pay. Just in the past couple of weeks, over in the park maintenance side, we've had 3 or 4 resignations because they're moving on to jobs that's going to pay more. So that's one of our biggest frustrations. Now, the union, SEIU, recently had negotiations with the city for improving some of those salaries. So that should help, but it's still, and we're talking about a 5%, 6%, 10% increase when these folks are looking at opportunities somewhere else that's 25, 30% more. So we're selling our jobs for all the benefits that we have. And one of the things that I'm really happy about being a city employee is I got great benefits, my health benefits, my retirement benefits. So those are the things that we really rely on to sell people to come work for us. But we are having a hard time filling positions, yes.
Increase or decrease from last year for the 25.
In regards to the amount of FTE employees?
No, I'm sorry, the whole budget, just.
I don't know what that is.
I think so. I'll look it up.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
This is a little off subject though. Golf is an enterprise fund. The water department's an enterprise fund too.
Correct.
What other are? There are a lot of them or too many to mention or?
There's really not that many, but those are two major ones. Century.
Yeah, stormwater is one of them. Transit would be another. Of course.
And are they tied to the same city pay structure as?
Yes.
It's like golf is. Tied to the park.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, they're, some of their employees are higher level. So you go out to the airport because of the federal component of it. There's a certain amount of certifications that you need to have.
Pay goes up.
Yeah, so you're looking at, they're probably doing very similar work, but they are getting paid more because of the location where it's at. So yeah, and each one of those is a little bit different, a little bit nuances. So stormwater is enterprise. However, there's federal dollars that go into that as well. Transit is another one that gets a lot of federal dollars going into it. So it's not like you can just say.
Apples and apples.
Right, you can't just take a snapshot and say they're very much.
The pay is higher in there because of the federal dollar.
Actually, I think that it's a little bit lower.
A little lower.
Yeah, because they're having a hard time trying to get bus drivers.
Well, it seems like every division is having trouble. Okay. I know Jesse can't keep people. That's the first check most times.
Right. Yeah.
Other questions?
Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, there's one last thing. Want to do your report and then I'll do mine?
Yeah, I just, I kind of shared my comments earlier, but I just really wanted to reemphasize that, you know, as a park board, we're not in the business of selling land, and despite what may or may not be reported, we really are here to really enhance the green space, the parks, the facilities that we have as a community, and I feel strongly about that, and I feel strong that our board feels the same way as well. And so I just wanted to dispel anything. I don't think we've ever had a conversation about really selling any parkland or anything like that. And so I just wanted to say that and just express my support for this master planning process. I know we've been, Troy and the staff have been really methodical about it. And I feel really good about how about the pace that we're moving in. And I'm an impatient person. I would have loved to have started this last year, but you know, it is what it is. We're moving at a good pace and following the processes that are necessary. So thank you guys all. I mean, everybody that served on the committee, and several of you have. Each of you have played a role in shaping that master plan process, and I'm looking forward to how this progresses in the next year.
So for my report, I don't have much to share, but I wanted to put a thought out there. And Reggie and his team have taken over the operations of the Mayor's Youth Council. It's really interesting that we're looking at our youth in regards to having them a little bit more active, doing things in regards to being more engaged. Just wanted to float an idea that I'm not asking to have a conversation about it now. I just want you just to plant the seed in the back of your head. Maybe we talk about it later on. But I thought about having representation on the board of somebody from the youth, particularly somebody from the Mayor's Youth Council. And it could be, I've seen this at other locations, other cities do this on different levels and whatnot. It could be a one-year term, could be where they're just strictly part of the advisory and non-voting, or it could be that they actually do have a vote. I just think this is a great opportunity as we're looking at the master plan, as we're looking at opportunity to get more community engagement of having youth representation on our commission. So it'd be really kind of interesting to see what that looks like. I'm not saying how it's going to be done or anything like that. I just wanted to throw that out there. So that would be a big change. That would be something that we'd have to go back and change the bylaws and work with the law department on it. But it's definitely doable. If it's a bad idea, tell me. And we'll find some other ways to get more youth representation here at this meeting. So
That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I have a question, if, probably an agenda item for next month, next time. It came up a couple times. I was thinking about it as well with the Olympics and the whole recycling of like bottles and cans and things like that. It came up at the Sustainability Committee before the River Festival.
Yep.
Somebody, a volunteer said, we need to do something, and it was just too fast, too much. And I was thinking then, what do we do during our open streets? And staff to, develop some plans or explain how we can be more sustainable in terms of like aluminum cans, plastic bottles, cardboard, or all the materials that come in. I don't have an answer today, but we can put on the agenda.
I think it's
So I'm gonna bend your guys' ears a little bit. So y'all all know I came from Austin and we were very much involved with recycling. Every one of our special events requires the recycling plan, whether it's internal or external. We had competitions in regards to the amount of recycling material that was brought in and used and recycled. We recycled batteries. I remember bringing all my AAA and AA batteries to be recycled. That has not really been a priority here in Wichita. And there's a lot of different reasons. I'm not going to go into it, but I've been here, and I've almost been here 10 years. I'm 6 weeks shy of 10 years. And I've given it a lot of thought. Other things have taken priority. There's other things that have taken a lot of my time, but this is one I think I'm ready to pick up the flag and start moving forward with. I had really looked at how we do recycling here in Wichita, and everybody's always pointing the finger at everybody else, and there's always the issue in regards to who's going to pay for it, what's the cost, how efficient is it, what are the studies, on and on and on. But I think if I'd like to make a change within my department, and that's some areas where I have obviously some authority is how we manage our department, and I think we can start doing some little things incrementally. So to your point, it was something I was wanting to think about doing as I start moving into my 10th year. And what a coincidence you brought it up. So.
Troy. With that, make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? Y'all can stay.
Yes, thank you very much. You're right on top of it.
Well, that's one thing I'm on top of. Apparently I can't do presentations.
Six, Maggie Ballard.
Oh, six, Maggie. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
So Eddie is to your,
You're the mayor at large, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right.
you know the mayor, or you?
No, I know. Yeah. And I know Maggie too, so. Back when she had the coffee shop and then the bar, I'd always go, yeah. I forgot what reason, but I always pass her bar. I'd always stop in for my scotch. And so, anyway. Thank you.
Elizabeth, you got a second? Yes. City manager. Do the master plan process. Trees. Leader stakeholders be involved. But send him in. Mm-hmm.
presentations. I don't know where they went.
Now, this is. Which is.